All right, guys, your buddy Ken Dips here. Today we're going to talk about suspension wheels and non-suspension wheels. I always get this question, and there's a lot of like opinions out there with, what wheel you want to start with, and what is the best type, what to get, and should you get a non-suspension wheel? I'll tell you, I originally started with a non-suspension wheel, and I like both types of wheels. It doesn't matter which I ride, and I could ride them both. And do I prefer suspension? Actually, it doesn't really. I don't really care. So because I actually do ride my 16X quite a bit, and is it nicer to have suspension? Yes. Is it needed? No. Okay, so this is the thing that people always mistake. Like, oh yeah, you gotta get a suspension wheel. Oh, what about potholes and stuff like that? Yeah, it's important, but the key is to avoid the potholes. Okay, so and maybe pay attention to where you're riding. Okay, so I've never ridden over, and if there's cracks in the pavement, things like that, it's actually really easy. You just go. It's like going downstairs and things like that. It's not that bad, riding over cracks in the pavement and stuff like that. So yes, a suspension wheel is good. A non-suspension. I actually sometimes will like riding a non-suspension wheel, so I can feel the pavement. It's really nice to feel sometimes like to feel the pavement being super. What's the word? It's just like a nice carve, sort of thing. So now the key to riding a non-suspension wheel is always have your knees bent, and my knees are always bent. So even if I ride a suspension wheel, my knees are still bent. So it's just because it's just better for you, and it's better for your knees. So now also this, like, having the suspension is nice. So the good thing about the S18 is you can actually turn off the suspension if you don't want it. So some of them I can't, like the S16 Pro, I can't turn off the suspension because it's a coil. So, but this here is, yeah. I like the M105. Yes, is it feel a little rough? Yeah, the 16X rides really well, and I ride that thing everywhere. So, and which one would I prefer? I'll tell you, it just depends on your ride style. So, and the best, if you're a beginner, go with a non-suspension wheel. Okay, it'll get your habits better. So when you ride and when you go over bumps and things like that, you'll always have your knees bent. Okay, so the other thing also is, like I said, non-suspension wheels are lighter, they're cheaper, easier to repair, and doesn't have so many parts. Like, look at how, if I had to take the tire out, look at what I have to disassemble just to get the tire out. Look at this. Look how much simpler that is. So there is advantages, and it weighs more when you have suspension as well, and it costs more. That's there's more maintenance. That's why a non-suspension wheel is actually quite good. And I miss the days where they used to make non-suspension wheels. Like, then every wheel that comes out is a suspension wheel. So except for like the small ones like this M105 and stuff like that, every wheel nowadays is suspension. You don't see a non-suspension wheel anymore. So like a high-speed non-suspension, like the V12 is a good non-suspension wheel, but they don't make it anymore. So, well, they make it, but like I said, it you can get them on deep discount now. Black Friday, I think it was like $9.99, which is a stellar deal. But like they don't really make or produce a new version of a non-suspension wheel anymore. So, but yeah, going back to that. So there's the pros. Like I said, yes, having suspension makes your ride feel smooth. But like I said, sometimes you want to feel the pavement, and I do sometimes. So, or want to feel the grass. When you go over grass on a non-suspension wheel, yeah, then you'll really feel it. But it's a workout, right? So it just depends on how you want to ride, and like I said, potholes. People always worry about potholes and like things like that. And yes, having suspension sometimes saves you. But I'll tell you, the bigger issue is having a bigger wheel diameter. The bigger wheel diameter is actually what saves you the most. Suspension, because the suspension is, some of them only have like 60 millimeters of travel, like the Falcon is a prime example. So some of them have 100 millimeters. It varies. Some of them, the travel is so slight that it just takes out the little rough edges. So you know, like I said, it depends on what you're riding. But is a suspension wheel needed? No, not really. So, all right, guys, stay tuned more videos.